Hello, everyone, and welcome to AMCS's webinar on recycling, leveraging our field services platform. My name is Andy Crawford. I'm the head of professional services with AMCS for the field services product. I was in operation, a little introduction on myself. I was in operations for about 10, 11 years. I was using this particular product, and I feel very passionate about what it can do for a department to get their arms around their infrastructure that they have in the field. And I hope that you guys, through this engagement, start to see what we have to offer and how you could use it in your own operations. So jumping right in, we're going to be talking about your containers that are deployed out in with your customers. So getting your arms around your container and inventory and how the application can help you identify maintenance needs and follow-up action items to hold people accountable, really to eliminate that concept of things falling between the cracks, right? So we're going to facilitate some automation there. When it comes to the yard and yard maintenance, those very expensive assets are worth the time to invest on preventative maintenance and getting into a data platform that will show you failures and be able to trend these so that you can get your arms and you can get in front of your failures instead of in a reactive environment. This should eliminate downtime, increase production and throughput, and ultimately lead to a bigger margin on your yard operation. And then lastly, when it comes to any kind of regulatory concerns, leveraging the field services application, you can design a platform to help you pass environmental or regulatory compliance audits through record retention, inspection programs, really catering to those needs that you have in these specialty use cases. So that's our agenda for today. Let me hop right through it. When it comes to our containers, there are many, many assets, and they can get moved around in our customer base over time. Here is an example of how we can help you identify where a container is by dropping a pin on a map, linking it using a specified QR code, so you can actually link those retroactively. I had a colleague that would carry a tag with them at all times, and they would be linking assets whenever they came across that need, always having some of these reserved. They're industrial grade tags. They're available, they're meant for field use. So you can affix these tags to your containers, and then it's as simple as it takes the guesswork out of which container is this. There's no more ID purgatory. You walk up to the container, scan it, and then you're at the page of that container, can see all the information about it. So one of the first steps that we go through with a lot of our customers is, do you have your containers managed? Do you know where they are? Do you have the proper counts? Do you know what kind of status condition they're in? What kind of information do you have on those? Because really just getting your arms around what you have is the first step in the process, in our process. So once you have those containers in-house and digitized, you can see them on a map, you can perform work against them at that point. And these inspections, these forms can be designed to your needs. Generally speaking, the use cases that we hear about containers and inspections is health and safety concerns, to say, I want to raise a concern about the location of this particular container, or this particular container on the screen has had a fire event, so we need that corrected, whether or not the casters are working properly and need attention, whether or not there was too much corrosion and there's potential contamination releasing from that container, lid damage, how many times have we seen lid damage and need to report that back to the home office. Any of those questions, any of those use cases, a field user using a mobile device can fill out a web form by clicking one of those containers, as we saw on the previous screen, and then choosing to perform an inspection at their wish. You can set up preventative maintenance programs to say, we wish to have our containers inspected once a quarter, once a year, something to that effect, to be a little bit more proactive. But the forms are designed by you. We can ask your questions. If you're using a paper checklist, this is an easy swap out to just save any kind of rekeying and really create that connection from your drivers back to the home office to create visibility across your network of assets. Based on that data, because we know so much about that container and we have it connected to the system, we can trigger automations to say, I have identified a non-compliant event. Now we want to have a to-do list, really a rolling to-do list to create accountability within our own organization, where we can schedule, we can follow up on any kind of reporting that we've heard from our drivers and ensure that we're following through. This leads to a higher level of customer service, a more engaged workforce, and really accountability to the maintenance department or whoever's responsible for following through on driver identified issues. So automating that business process that normally rattles around in our senior members' heads is really important when starting to scale your organization to a bigger size. So yard maintenance will use some of the same concepts. Similar to containers, we can use these web forms to really collect operational data, traditionally performed on sort of paper clipboard. However, we want to, it's 2023, we want to move off of the older technology, meaning the paper clipboard that is really just isolated to the individual that performed that inspection, and create a platform where we can identify the results of those inspections and those daily rounds or those rounds inspections and create visibility and analytics and dashboards around them. Any kind of routine inspection probably has a lot of high value to it or a very high value to it. You're sending people to do something every day. There's value in that event. So leverage it, create some analytics around it, and be able to capture your operational data, whether you're measuring volumes of stockpile, whether you're measuring sort of rolling stocks going out the door, and really optimize your efficiency to say, what actions can I take from a management perspective to break down barriers for my team to really ramp efficiency. Similarly, we can start to because we can capture so much data about our assets, about our operations, we can start to understand preventative maintenance or corrective maintenance trends. Our costly equipment and our capital investment is one of the largest expenses that we have in our operations. We need to get our arms around it and anticipate these peaks in expenditure and these finance events that we need to keep our business growing. So by getting our assets into a particular program, starting to itemize our material handlers, our loaders, shredders, compactors, balers, you can now start to identify how are there particular manufacturers, are there certain departments where we're seeing more failures? Is a midlife overhaul actually going to improve my operation, or is it worth just replacing it with new equipment? And start to think about your operation holistically in getting into a proactive program rather than a reactive program. When we're in a reactive environment, we're introducing business risk to our operations without even knowing it. So that's what we want to help get in front of. And then lastly, as we develop our failure curves and we can identify that we want to maintain a replacement at a priority 2, we don't want to see risk get into the priority 1 category on our P to F curve, we can identify those upgrades early. You might be able to say within a couple of years when you're going to need to replace out or when you're going to encounter possibly 2 major expenditures to the organization at once. So that sort of synergy can allow for proper planning, can allow for proper design, procurement, so that we're not procuring things in a rapid pace and not getting the best competitive prices for our equipment. Additionally, we can identify synergies on unit processes that need to be swapped out together. Maybe as we get through our shredder, our baler is in the similar condition and will get replaced in a year. Well, it might make sense to do one project and replace them all in one swoop. That will be less disruptive to the operational processes, and it will lead to scaling the growth. So all of it is geared towards growing, reducing our maintenance demand, having a proactive maintenance policy, and trying to get our arms around what is our practice for replacing equipment over X $1,000, or when are we looking to take that next stage with our business and really take on an extra territory? When are we looking to grow? Then when dealing with regulations, so we have customized forms that can help with the documentation efforts for regulated inspections, whether that be certificate of destructions, any kind of documentation around universal waste or RCRA has waste. As we recycle those elements, which we want to be able to do, paper, glass, and steel, we can document, because anybody in a regulated environment has been through an audit where documentation is key. And I can speak on personal experience that using the field service application actually gains credibility with your auditors to establish a level of trust with the people coming to your site to do an inspection. Establishing that rapport is extremely important, because we are doing our best effort to stay in compliance with these regulations. We spend a lot of money and time becoming compliant, and we want to maintain compliance to be able to still service our customers that have these needs. So field services can take an inspection, memorialize it as a PDF right on that record, right on that piece of equipment or other, and have a document repository that will allow you to quickly access inspection records during time of audit. And so really that's how we facilitate the regulated space and ensure that you guys feel comfortable that documentation's in order, management can see that tasks are done timely, we can plan out preventative scheduled inspections, all within the field services application, because everything we do is about connecting that field worker and the field staff to create visibility through the organization to the management team so that they can achieve your business goals ultimately. And with that, that's just a quick run through on what we think about in the recycling industry, what we see as a value add to the field services application for you guys out in the field. If there's any information, don't hesitate to reach out to me, reach out to the team for more information. If you'd like to see the product or get your hands on it, we'd be happy to facilitate and show you around. And we really just scratched the surface. We haven't covered anything with IoT or sort of operational data other than that brief rounds. So ask questions, and I appreciate your time today. And I look forward to hearing from you when time comes. Thank you very much.